What's up, everyone? My name is Brandon, and today I'm going to be sharing some essential tips to help you capture the best possible landscape photos on your next adventure. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to elevate your skills, these tips are going to hopefully help you to make the most out of every shot. Let's dive in. So first up, before we get all packed up and leave the house, we need to talk about what we're bringing with us. Now, everything that I mentioned in this video is most certainly not mandatory, but it's definitely going to help. I mean, after all, you don't need running shoes to run, but they help. So first and foremost, for landscape photography, a wide angle lens is going to be your best friend. So for me personally, I use Canon's RF 15 to 35mm f2.8L IS USM. And with that, it lets me capture a vast field of view while still maintaining sharp details. Now, for some additional gear that's going to help make a difference, I would personally go with some sort of a filter and a tripod. Tripods prevent any sort of motion shake from your hand when you're shooting long exposures or shooting in low light conditions. Now, for filters, a polarizer filter is going to help you reduce glare and sort of enhance your colors, and an ND filter, which stands for neutral density, is going to help you shoot long exposure photos during the day. It's essentially just sunglasses for your camera lens, so it blocks a lot of the light entering your lens. Okay, so next up, it's all about light. I personally find that the best time to shoot landscape photos are during golden hour, which is shortly after sunrise or before sunset. Yeah. Or even during blue hour, which is right after sunset. So this time of the day gives you that soft, warm, vibrant light and really helps enhance your contrast and details even before you get into editing your photos. Straight out of camera, am I right? So try to position yourself so that the sun enhances the natural features of your scene. If you can get that light hitting the landscape at like a 45-degree angle, you're really going to be able to emphasize the natural formations and add way more depth and contrast into your shot. Next up, composition. I don't care how good the light is, how good your gear is. A well-composed shot makes all of the difference. So let's start by using the rule of thirds. Instead of placing your horizon dead center, try moving it up or moving it down. And if you've got some sort of a subject in frame, try placing that along the left or right third of your frame to create a more dynamic image. And another thing you can do is try to look for natural leading lines like rivers, roads, streets, trees. These are really going to help guide your viewer's eye through the photo and just sort of further help tell the story that you're trying to tell. Now, don't forget about foreground interest. I know, it's a lot. You should try to add something in the foreground, like a rock, a tree, flowers, anything. This is going to help you give depth and tell a bit more story in your image. Shooting a photo is easy, but telling a story through a photo, that's a whole new ballgame. When it comes to camera settings, let's avoid shooting in auto if we can, and switch to manual. Manual mode gives you way more control, allowing you to control how that photo looks instead of your camera telling you how it should look. Now, for sharp landscape photos, I recommend using a more narrow aperture like f8 or even f16. By doing that, you're gonna get a lot more in focus. Keep your ISO as low as possible to avoid introducing any sort of unwanted noise or grain to your photo, and adjust your shutter speed based on the effect that you're after. You've seen those photos of like long exposures or the really soft water, soft clouds. Those are using longer shutter speeds or a slower shutter speed. Or if you really want to freeze the motion, like a wave crashing with all the water drops coming up in the air, you're going to want to use a super fast shutter speed for something like that. So again, your shutter speed is going to sort of depend on your own creative vision. And now another thing I recommend is really familiarizing yourself with your camera's histogram. By doing this, you're going to be able to ensure that your image is properly exposed, which furthermore means that you're going to be able to preserve details in your shadows and in your highlights. Okay, so before heading out, do a little bit of research. I like to use apps or different websites or whatever to just kind of research the best possible shooting locations based on the area I'm in, and always check on the weather as well. Now, if it is raining or you've got some sort of a harsh weather, try not to let that discourage you from going out and shooting, as some of my favorite photos have actually come from the gloomiest of days. You can get some of those awesome moody shots with the worst possible weather. Now, try to remember that once you're actually on site, some of the best shots come from further exploring that site. Try finding unique perspectives, whether it's a reflection on the water or just get up a little bit higher than the rest of the crowd. Something that I like to think every time I'm out shooting landscape photos is wherever you see the crowd shooting is the worst spot to shoot it. Avoid that spot. That's where all of those Google image shots are going to live, and that's what everybody's shooting, is that one spot. So try finding a different perspective and coming up with something a little more creative on your own. I mean, that could be the only spot to shoot it, so maybe that's what you're working with, but get creative. Okay, so finally, let's talk about the edit. That's my favorite part. Even just small adjustments can make a massive difference in your landscape photos. So I normally start by enhancing the contrast, sharpening some of the key details, and boosting specific colors to really make that image pop. Now, shooting in Canon's RAW format gives you the flexibility to really bring out the best of your shots during post-processing, because it's going to preserve more details in your shadows and in your highlights. So a big part of my editing process is masking. Now, obviously I want my composition and the exposure and the actual photo itself to do the bulk of the lifting. But if you hit that shot with a little bit of masking from the bottom or from the sides and really kind of help guide your viewer's eye through your photo, yeah, it's just frame-worthy. So to sum it up, landscape photography is essentially all about planning, patience, the right techniques, and of course, the right gear to get the job done. Thank you guys for watching, and do not forget to subscribe to Canon's channel for more of these cool photography tips. Anyways, later guys.